But not sure what that means exactly, to be honest. We're live, and we're live on Instagram as well. What's up, everybody? I know it's Blackout Tuesday. Um, I'm not sure what that means. I don't understand. I'm having lots of confusion during this time. I think everybody is. I think it's a confusing time. I think it's confusing, particularly if you're brown and black in America. That why should this time be different than any other time, than every other time, than literally forever? Why should this moment be different? Why is this moment different for you? Let me know. I want to know. I want to know why this moment is the be all end all. Is it because we've been cooped up? What's up, Ismail? We're having a chat today. Aristotle Full Throttle every day at noon. It's live stream. Though we're serious, we're bringing it down a notch, guys. We're talking about what's going on in the world right now. It's the lore. Hello, everybody. Listen, it's a confusing time. Who the hell knows what to do? I know it's supposed to be a blackout. It's supposed to be a media blackout. I do a live stream every day, though. I'm like, wait, who's? I'm just confused. if you're, maybe people can explain this to me. We're not supposed to be on social media today. However, I feel like it's important to talk about this, so I'm going to. I happen to be a brown guy in America. I've experienced being brown in America. Black and brown folks in America have been dealt the short end of the stick forever, literally, ever. So I'm just wondering why this moment is the one that we should all pay attention to. Because it happens. It happens. Hey, Shredded, thank you. Indeed. Stay strong, everybody. Everybody out there, it's hard right now. This is tough. Imagine a world where it's the worst economy that your country has seen in like 90 years. Imagine a world that is undergoing incredible measures to try to prevent the spread of a horrible pandemic that is affecting everybody. Imagine a world with incredible civil unrest to the point where there's looting going on. Perhaps not all-out riots, but there is looting. And imagine the worst American leadership in the history of this country all happening at the same time. That's what you're experiencing. That's what I'm experiencing. That's what we're going through right now, together. And it's tough. I'm glad you guys are showing up, and I hope you guys are supportive of all people in a society, particularly black people in America, because it's never been good. Make America great again? When? When was it? What's this again part? I seem to be missing the point of when America was great. Stay informed from this forward. Stay informed and aware. Yes, that's good. It's the lore. We need to educate ourselves, hear other people, listen to everybody. If there's one thing that I do on this show and that I've encouraged, hey Tatiana, hey Ismail, if there's one thing that I've encouraged on this show from its inception is we all need the whole empathy. We need the empathy, and that's learnable. We all have it. We're all innately born with it, unless you're a psychopath, but that's a whole other story. Some people struggle with empathy. Some people struggle with critical thinking. But these are attainable skills if you're a human being, and they're important. They're the glue. They're what make humans get along, as Rodney King said. And it's, people make fun of that moment where Rodney King says, can't we all get along? But the dude, he nailed it. What is it that's stopping us? What is it that's stopping us? Why? Why are people finally thinking that, I get cynical. I get upset. I think, now Black Lives Matter. So it's literally forever. It's never mattered. And now that we're cooped up inside and now we're ready to explode, here's the good issue that we can jump onto and fully support because, you know, we've been pent up and we haven't had any, there's been no school shootings to get mad at because there's been no school. What do we do? I know it sounds mad and angry. I am mad and I am angry. I'm confused. I'm frustrated. Everybody is. I know you are too. I know it's just so damn frustrating. How does one sit here? How does the world sit here and watch a man be murdered in the street in the so-called greatest country in the world? How do you just watch? How do we allow that to happen? It's a systemic problem, obviously. I think Newsom, Governor Newsom, said yesterday, really importantly, people get mad at the looting. People get mad at the people causing vandalism and destruction and chaos. And it's like, why are we mad at them when we should be mad at the reason that this is happening? And it's, you have to go back some steps to find out why we're at this point. You don't get mad at the point. You find the problem. This is a symptom of a problem. You don't get mad at the looter necessarily. I mean, I do. Obviously, it's the wrong thing to do, but people are mad as hell and they're trying to, for better or for worse, and in this case for worse, they're trying to grab back some kind of power, something to hold in their hands that can say, I have now a piece of the establishment. I've now taken something from them. And this media blackout, this social media blackout, I don't know. I appreciate the solidarity and the show of solidarity, but at the same time, my cynical mind is just like, what's the issue of the week that we can pencil in? I can pencil you in between, I can pencil Black Lives Matter in between school shootings and say like LGBTGQ issues. Sorry if I messed up the letters. But this shit has always been. It's just always been, and it's hard for me to think that it won't always be. Hey, Will. What's up, Mike? What's up, Thomas? Hey, guys. Just mad as hell. Everybody's mad as hell. Everybody's upset. I think it takes a moment like this to see something like we did with George Floyd. It's indelible. We've all been traumatized by this show of force, this show of utter disregard for human life. You saw that cop. You saw the cop. You saw those cops. You saw them not giving a shit. You saw them not caring. You saw them on top of a man who was unconscious for the last 3 minutes. That's insane. It's insanity. If you create insanity, expect insanity to ensue. Expect chaos. If you do something like that, that's not... And yesterday with the president, guys, come on. The president shows force by launching tear gas into a protesting crowd that was not doing... They just literally broke up the crowd that was a nonviolent crowd. We are living in a crazy time. We are living in a... You know how we saw this stuff on TV growing up in other countries going, wow, it must suck for them. That's us now. And maybe people are waking up to it. Hey, Tatiana, you said, and then we watch the police abusing their power over and over again in the streets against protesters and even journalists. It's very intense swallowing. Yeah, what has become of society? I thought journalism was the neutral party. They're the ones documenting the event. You know why you attack the press? Why you attack journalists? Because you don't want the truth getting out. You don't want people to see what's really going on. I mean, that's really the only logical conclusion you can make from that. Um, but I'm doing a live stream anyway because I mean, I guess today is the day we listen to brown and black folks. We've got some time for you today. I mean, there's always that joke that Black History Month is the shortest month of the year. It's just hard to not feel disenfranchised. It's hard to not feel like, okay, like let's let everybody do the thing, then we can go back to business as usual. Should someone be protected if they attack an officer if they believe that they're going to kill someone who is unarmed and detained? It's a tough question. It's a tough question. What is the right thing to do in the scenario of the people videoing? I think they did exactly what they could do. Are you, you know, there's just a choir of sirens all day long here. You can probably hear them, but it's just choppers, sirens, pops, and booms. It sounds like a war zone. Sounds like we're living in a war zone here in Los Angeles, Hollywood. Yeah, it's a tough question. So someone would be protected if they attack an officer, they believe they're going to kill someone. What do you do in that scenario? Do you risk your own life to try to tackle an officer or something and go to jail and get arrested and maybe get killed yourself? Maybe they feared for their life, the person videoing it, and that's the best they could do was be like, this is the power that I have right now in this moment, is videoing this. Instead of, they didn't know that clearly the people around were like, this dude is not breathing, check his pulse, you're killing this guy, you're killing him, get off. Like, what do you do? I don't think. And Cam, the dragon, are we inciting chaos and anarchy if we're saying it's okay to attack cops in any scenario? And it's like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. If you feel like somebody's about to die unjustly, maybe whatever kicks in at that moment, I guess go with it. I'm not going to sit there and say, go attack cops. I'm not going to say that. But if you see someone getting hurt and attacked by a bully, by someone bigger, by someone stronger, by someone with more authority, take them down, maybe. Maybe you can't help it. Maybe you just do that instinctively. I don't know what I would do. Maybe I would. I can't stomach it. I can't tolerate this. Nobody can. But I see the people trying to do what they think they can do right now, which is to scream in the streets. It's fine. It's good. Stop the looting. But I saw some protesters actually protecting businesses, which is kind of this weird. The looting is happening because people are trying to grab back from society. They're trying to grab back things. Some of them are just complete sociopaths who just need to find drugs and sell them in like CVS and stuff. But we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about maybe that gray area of people who are just so angry at the establishment that they want to see it burn. And because the power, imagine if your power is just taken away from you over and over again your whole life, and all you ever see is people who look like you in this society being treated the way they are and have always been. I don't know why people think that, oh, it's post-Obama. Obama got elected, now we live in a post-racial society. Look how good that's done us. Look how much good that's done us institutionally. I mean, if you really do think that, if you really think that racism is a solvable thing in overnight, let me know. I want to know what you guys think about that, because I don't know if you could just snap your fingers and then murderous cops will vanish. Murderous racist cops. I don't know how you get rid of them. Is it a snap of the fingers? Is it a wave of the magic wand? What do you do to the institution to change that? Will says we need an FBI hotline, social media site you can reach out to report it. Immediately reference while recording the incident. Yeah, Will, also, this is a fun fact, guys. You can request a police officer's supervisor in any scenario. So if you're just talking to a policeman on the street, if you are getting pulled over, if you are in an accident and the cops show up and you, for instance, a couple of years ago, my partner at the time, she was rear-ended. She was parked and her car was rear-ended. And the cops showed up, and the guy who rear-ended her car was clearly inebriated. This guy was drunk. And the cops didn't want to do a sobriety test. So I was like, you guys should do a sobriety test, because I was in a different location. I showed up, and then I was like, cops, do a sobriety test on this dude because he's drunk. And they're like, well, you know, we checked him. And I'm like, he's drunk. And I looked over, and the dude was downing bottles of water. His friend showed up with like a case of water, and he's just drinking water over and over. And I'm like, guys, cops, dude was drunk driving, hit another vehicle, could have killed a person, if not himself. And they were just like, well, we don't usually do a breathalyzer. I'm like, get your supervisor. They got the supervisor. And by the time the supervisor actually showed up, it was like 15, 20 minutes. And then by the time they did the sobriety test, it was about an hour later. And they did a field sobriety test where the guy was just doing this thing. You know what I mean? Walking the line. And they were like, well, we determined he was okay. And I'm like, dude, it's an hour and a half after the fact. And the dude just downed 6 bottles of water. Thank you, police, for protecting the peace. But I get it, guys. Sometimes cops are just out a day of work and they're like, nobody got killed. So I should probably, I don't really want to do the paperwork on this. Listen, I had a kind of an administrative job like that once where I was a case manager and I was going into homes and talking to people. And anytime an incident happened, you had to fill out an incident report and then this report and then that report and then this report. And cops got to do that sometimes. They got to, and they literally, it's a desk job some of the time, and they've got to be like, oh, okay, well, I don't really feel like doing that paperwork tonight. I just want to go home and watch the game. Cops are people too. And sometimes they just don't want to be dealing with the crap. In LA, it's kind of a big city, and they're mainly focused on trying to, I guess, solve high crimes and whatnot, so. Tatiana, I'm with you. I feel like this should move the needle forward, hopefully. I don't know what that even means, though. If you move something forward on an infinite plane, it doesn't get any closer to infinity. Does it? It approaches infinity, but does it ever get there? No. How do we do this? Like, I feel like people are going to suddenly go, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. And then they're going to go back to eating their burrito in 3 weeks or something. And they're going to, as Lou Alcindor, I won't call him that, I'll call him by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He said in his piece the other day that you should read it. It's in the Atlantic. It's a good piece. It's by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, famous basketball player, Skyhook, all that. You guys know. Airplane. He's in the movie Airplane. He's in the movie Game of Death. No, wait. Which one is he in? Enter the Dragon? Game of Death? He's good. He's a Bruce Lee student. He's an incredible scene. He's 10 feet tall fighting little Bruce Lee. And he puts a footprint on Bruce Lee's chest this big when he kicks him in the chest. It's awesome. It's awesome, guys. Check it out. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the students of Bruce Lee, and also an incredible world-class athlete, and also a man and a purveyor of ideas. And he said the other day, everyone's at home watching this, sad and affected, seeing it on TV, but with a bowl of corn chips in their lap waiting to watch NCIS. It's on TV for some people. People aren't experiencing this. So what they don't experience, they don't understand necessarily, a lot of people. And that's why it's good that I see a lot of people saying, well, I'm listening now. And part of me, the cynical part's like, well, then you weren't listening any other time? It took this level of egregiousness to catch your attention, people? I don't know. It makes me angry. Shoot. Sorry, guys. Were you hearing like a lot of rustling this whole time? My bad. Sorry about that. I didn't properly do that. But guys, you'll hear a better feed on my channel, AristotleFullThrottle.com. If you go there, you can hear the replay. It'll be pristine sound. I kind of biffed it this morning. Sorry. No. The normal format is movies. Yeah. I'm thinking of movies like Dog Day Afternoon. I would like to hear your suggestion, Will, about how to tie this in. Dog Day Afternoon is a great movie that brings several levels of awareness to the people. That's a movie with Al Pacino. And, I mean, obviously there are several movies. Selma, that came out a couple years ago. The bombing and killing of those girls in Selma. Takes events like this every 30 years, guys, apparently. 30 years from now, we're going to have a Rodney King, George Floyd, Selma level event. Maybe even fewer years from that. Though these events happen more often than we see, it just happens that this one was so clear. Yeah, definitely different protest movements, for sure. Clara's Heart, was that one? What's the one where Sally Field works in the factory? That's a good one, too. Gandhi with his starvation, his hunger strike. But Harvey Milk went to my high school. My high school was in Fruitvale Station is a good one. I gotta say, one of the random people that went to my high school in Bayshore, New York. Bayshore, New York, it's Long Island, and Harvey Milk was a representative in the Bay Area during the 70s. And on the Hall of Fame, on the Wall of Fame in my high school, there it is, Harvey Milk. Randomly went to the same high school as I did. Very funny. Sorry for all the rustling earlier. Kind of lost my train of thought, lost my fire. Fire in my belly. But I'll hear a cop car or something and it'll come back. Yeah, if there's an FBI hotline or something, you could do that. You could call to see a policeman's supervisor. If they're on somebody, just be like, let me see your supervisor, let me see your supervisor. Yell at them, yell at them, yell at them. Because you could do that. Just stay on the sidewalk. Stay far away if you're black or brown, person of color, because, you know, I guess we tend to set off the police. Yeah, it's a tough time. I do feel cynical, though. I do feel that what's it going to take? What's it going to do? What are we going to do? Just go out in the street and yell? And I get people are upset. And they're like, I just want to go out in the street and yell. That's your right. That is 100% your right to do. But I don't know how to fix it. Nobody does. Do they? If you have any suggestions, let me know. If you have any examples of history showing how that gets fixed, let me know. It feels like a very fruitless endeavor. It feels like so many people have privilege in this society that they're unaware of it. It smacks of privilege to turn your profile picture into just a black image or something. Being like, well, did my part. I'm showing my solidarity by taking 23 seconds to change my profile picture. Like, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is what I do, though. So I'm going to do this. And you do what you can. I really don't think it's enough for black and brown folks to be like, hey, guys, shit is racist. Because that sounds, I think, to people of the majority, privileged folks, that might sound like, stop complaining, guys. Come on, stop complaining. It's not that bad. I mean, things have gotten better. At least it's not this point in history or this point in history or this point in history or literally any time before now. And look at now. When was it good? When was it great? Make America great? Again? Someone once asked me what time in history, if you had a time machine, what period would you like to go back to? Listen to this question, guys. If you had a time machine, what period would you like to visit? You tell me. And I believe it was Dave Chappelle who was like, I ain't going back in time ever. As a black or brown person, why would you go back? Why would you go back in time? You'd immediately get an arrow through your chest or something. I don't know. There was never a better time than now. If you're a minority, there was never a better time than now. And look at now. Wrap your head around that. If you have the feeling, if you have the awareness or the lack of awareness that you can just go back in any time in history. Oh, I'd love to visit medieval England. I'd love to go here and check that out. And I'd love to go back to the Roman era. And it's like, okay, you would? Well, that's actually privilege. That's what I've male privilege, and I acknowledge that. I know that if I say something or do something in society as a man, as a tall man, people will listen just because of social conditioning. They'll just go, oh, well, he's a tall man. He should say something. And if he says something, then we'll listen. You don't have to listen to me. Nobody's got to listen to me. But sometimes I feel like it works in both ways. Sometimes I feel pressured in a social situation to be like, well, this is what we should do because I'm a man and I am tall and I am of a certain age and therefore know better. I don't know anything. We're all just people. Everybody's opinion is theirs. Everyone's feeling on something is valid. But yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Eva. You're very sweet. A lot of artists I follow. It's hard to sometimes read some of these things. Let me put it on the black shirt so it's like white on. Okay. A lot of artists I follow have a quote, unquote, blackout said that they want to be better informed and more practice pointing out combating racism for the. Yeah, well, that's I guess that's the greater point that I'm getting to is that people need to people really need to call each other. It's not enough for someone who's in the position of being oppressed. It's not enough for us to be like, hey, this shit sucks. It's annoying. It's not enough. You got to get the people who are of the majority, who are the ruling class, to go, hey, this is actually pretty bad. And they have to talk to each other and call each other out. Because I see so much casual bullshit racism. I've seen it growing up. I grew up in an area where I was one of 3 minorities in my class. And I would just see it constantly, and it was just kind of like very uncomfortable. It was like, wow, I feel horrible and icky inside when I hear these words coming from people, and these people saying this stuff casually to each other, racist stuff, blatantly N-words and racism, and looking at me like, oh, well, no offense. You know, you guys, if you're a woman, if you're a minority, or if you've been talked about as part of a group in any way by people in front of you, and then they kind of go, well, you know, not you though. You're one of the good ones. I can't tell you how many times that happened to me growing up. Many. Lots. Too many. It's not a good feeling. So there's got to be some level where people are like, hey, dude, that's not cool. Shouldn't say stuff like that. That's wrong. Make it feel uncomfortable for people who are thinking that. Maybe make it feel uncomfortable for them to the point where they actually think about their actions, which is the goal, right? Let's think about our actions and how they affect other people. Let's actually think about how other people are affected and imagine what it would be like if we were that person being affected. Some of us just have to remember what it's like to be affected. Some of us have been affected this whole time. Yeah, it's those I'm not racist but types. That's totally true. The key for any kind of change is also unfortunately a burden that falls on the people who are already burdened with injustice. They need to show them the right way and the good faith. What's up, 420? We're just talking about social injustice. We're talking about hurt. Yeah. There's a lot of times, you know, guys, I know I don't have to say this on this show, but when people say make America great again, it's just a dog whistle. It's just them saying, remember when it was great? It is a big topic. It's the big topic. It's on everybody's minds right now. Everybody's angry and frustrated and wants to see something change, wants to see something different. And, you know, we got to do it. We got to change the institutions. I think the best way to do it, my solution for this is, and I'm trying to offer a solution, and I'm trying to offer a utopian vision of what we could do to change the world for the better. Get people in the institutions, in the structures of government. Get people in there who are representative of the populace. We don't have that, guys. If you look at a pic snapshot of our governmental representatives, there's a majority of old, wealthy, white dudes. And if you look at the population of the United States, that's a portion of society for sure. It's the ruling class, but it is not representative of our society. It is not representative of the people, of the pockets, of all the different areas. If we could have a government that looks like the people, I think there would be more of an identifiable connection and maybe perhaps change. I'm trying to say, vote this idiot out the White House, guys. And it seems like the perfect setup right now that the president should do this right now, should be like exercising authority and saying mail-in ballots are going to be questionable, and he knows that people are going to want to stay home and not vote, so they're going to mail in their ballots, and then maybe the fix will be in, and he could say that the ballots were wrong and that he did not lose, and he'll stay there forever. So this is a worst nightmare, guys. Yeah, America's never been great, 420. I'm telling you, the idea of America is great. The idea of it is great, and we try to go day to day. We try to go toward that idea ever so slightly and incrementally, and it's a journey. It's never. I don't understand why people think we're done. We're done here. We've made it perfect. It's a perfect thing. Let's move on. It seems the people who think that are the ones that or who are benefiting from right now. If people are like, well, things seem good for me, we've done a good job, it's perfect, they're not necessarily looking around them and saying like, oh, well, it sucks for them, but, you know, it's great for me, so why should I change it? Aren't you glad you voted for Trump on economic issues rather than social ones or environmental ones or healthcare ones? Aren't you glad that you picked that guy? Because in a time of a pandemic and social unrest, what a leader. What leadership he's brought to this moment. But good thing you like, you know what? I think he'll do good things for the economy. Worst economy in 90 years, guys, because of him. Listen, Aji Lestrange. President Agent Orange is scared. When people call him Orange, I feel like offended for oranges. Yeah, Tatiana, I tell you, it's crazy how there are subtle differences and levels of privilege, for sure. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get this guy out the White House. We got to do it. We have to get a government that is representative of what people look like in society and how people have experienced this society, because people up there, they're in the ivory tower. They don't understand what's going on. They don't feel the anger in the same way. But the egregiousness of George Floyd's death, I think, is a particular moment for a lot of people, because there's just nothing you can say to explain what happened there other than, oh, that looks like 4 cops murdering a dude. How else do you explain it? How else do you see it? There's no other way. Everything in the police report, bullshit. I saw some people trying to defend. They're like, why is there a different autopsy? Well, how come when the autopsy came back the second time, that was a privately procured autopsy? How come that second autopsy said it was a murder and the first one didn't? Because the first one was, the first report, the information was reported by the cops. And you don't think the cops are in there with like that whole chain? Listen, a cop's job is this. They come across a crime. They have to identify the crime, charge the crime, bring the person in, and provide evidence of the crime should it go to trial. They try to streamline that system to make their day go easier. So when you do some crazy stuff and you just want your day to go easier, you're just like, just say that it was this to the coroner. Say that it was that. Because they want open and shut cases. They want the case to open. They want all the evidence so they can prove a thing and for it to go away. And the system is broken. It does not benefit people who can't afford a good defense. It's why I'm against the death penalty, guys. The death penalty, I understand that if someone is taken from you, you would want to see the person who killed your loved one. You would want to see them perish. You'd want to see them go down for a crime of killing somebody that you love. And I get that part. I feel that part. I'm like, listen, if anything ever happens to someone I care about, I don't know what I would do. Someone I cared about very closely and they did something, I would probably risk my own life and limb trying to take theirs. Maybe. If it was somebody that I cared about deeply that just was taken from me right in front of me, watch out. I can feel that. However, the system is what I'm talking about when I say I'm against the death penalty, because the system doesn't doesn't disseminate the death penalty equally. If you are poor and black and you commit the same crime as a rich white guy, the exact same crime that is punishable by death under certain states' laws, if you commit you're literally no different other than how you look and what your bank account looks like. You will die if you're black. You will not die if you're white, because you can afford to argue your way out of that. You can afford a good defense. You can afford all that. And therefore, that is not an equal punishment. It is the most ultimate punishment you can give someone is the death penalty, but it will not equally be given out. You will be disproportionately killing black people. But if you're rich and white, you could be like, well, I've got a certain level of impunity that I'll get away with this bullshit. And that's why people are angry, and that's why people are in the streets, because if you're in power, if you're of the ruling class, if you've got money, you can get away with stuff, and people don't want anyone to get away with anything anymore. I hear police helicopters. I hear this all day and all night. Everything is worse. I mean, I started the show saying how cynical I am and how I don't like. There's a thing called a lot of us have experienced inequity, social inequity, as a woman, as a black person, as a brown person, as a minority, as someone from another country. A lot of us have experienced a marginalization. And we know exactly what this is like. And we're like, oh, look, everybody's suddenly seeing what's going on right now. And this must be what women felt like when the Me Too movement got kicked off. I wonder if this is what they're like, oh, people actually are seeing that this is a toxic cancer in our industry, in our society, that we should try to take this power back and get rid of these people that are in the system, that are poisoned, that are toxic people that are poisoning the system. And so I feel like on some level it's just kind of pedantic. I feel white-splained to about what the hell racism is right now. I'm going to be straight with you guys. I feel sometimes, and that's just an honest feeling that I'm having, and I'm observing that. I'm trying to understand why I feel that way. I don't quite know, but I do feel like, this is white people are angry right now. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Although I feel like, being brown, being black and brown in America, we're like, yeah, guys, yeah, we know this already. We've seen it over and over again. And now you're explaining this to me. It's like when you see a movie or you heard a song a year and a half ago that was a dope ass song or a cool movie. You saw a movie. It's like you saw Usual Suspects and you were like, hey, bro, I saw Usual Suspects. It's a dope ass movie. You should check it out. And then a year later, they're like, hey, dude, you should see this movie called The Usual Suspects. I just saw it. It's dope. And then you're like, I told you about that movie. I told you about that movie. This is what it feels like. But exploded to 1,000,000%. It feels like that level of annoyance. It's like, wait a minute. I told you about this my whole life. I told you guys about this. Forever I've been talking about this, and now you're listening and then telling me about it. Awesome. Well, at least someone's listening now. It's frustrating. Dude, K-Ferg, I feel you on that. I feel K-Ferg says, I have so many, white folks texting, calling. Yeah, same here. It's a good thing. My friends, I love you and I appreciate you. And I am so glad you are, it's a nice thing to hear from your friends. However, white guilt is a real thing. And I don't want you to feel guilty, but it does feel a little bit like I'm inundated with texts like, I hope you're okay. I'm like, I told you about this. I told you about this. I love my friends, but I'm getting a lot of texts from friends that are like checking in on me, checking in, and it's a good thing. I'm trying to breathe through it, but it's hard to not be offended and feel like I am being marginalized even in a way where they're like, it's still like a subjugation. It still feels like still like, oh, like a little pat on the head. Oh, don't worry, I see you. And it doesn't feel like an equality. And I know that's what we're striving for. And I've been frustrated since the 2016 election because I saw a lot of my friends vote for this guy, the Cheeto in chief. The Cheeto in chief. You know what? I don't even like that statement because I like Cheetos. Ain't nothing wrong with no Cheetos. I felt this way when he first got elected because I was just like, oh, so this whole time, some of my friends, the people who did vote for Trump, the only people that I know, happened to be white. And they were saying, well, I just had to vote for him on, the economy. And I'm like, so you don't, like the blatant racism that this president has shown, the blatant intention to maintain and uphold racist policies to you is totally fine. Which tells me through like modus tollens that you do not see me as an equal citizen. You do not see me as an equal citizen because that doesn't matter to you. The fact that I am afforded the same rights as you. That's whatever. You'll go on. I'll check on you during the pandemic riots. It's silly. It is a bit passive aggressive to just remember it's a bit of a passive aggressive situation because if we reject or dismiss people and they will be disenchanted, and yeah, this is why it's hard to get over this moment. Well, for me, it's difficult to get through past this moment because I'm like, I'm accepting and I'm caring and I do appreciate it. I really do. I do appreciate it. And I get that my friends who have texted me, their heart is in the right place and they're torn apart. They are torn apart. We're all torn apart. Their emotions are overwhelming about this. Our emotion, every human being, if you are a human being, your emotions are torn up about this. And people don't know what to do. So they're doing what they think they can do and what they can do. And they're showing support. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I appreciate it. I'm working through how I feel about it personally. It just feels like it's shining a light on so many things right now. Kafer, you don't like Cheetos? What's wrong with you? There's a backstory. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that. We're going to have to find out your aversion to Cheetos. They are delicious, especially the jalapeno Cheetos. I can eat a whole bag of jalapeno Cheetos. I don't know. Here's the thing about jalapeno Cheetos is that I cannot find them in certain places. And also, for some reason, they segregate the jalapeno Cheetos from the rest of the Cheetos. If you go into a store, I often go into a 7-Eleven or something, and then there's a rack of like hot Cheetos and regular Cheetos and spicy super extra hot Cheetos, and then I have to go to like another rack in the back to find the jalapeno Cheetos because they don't want them all intermingling. Damn it, we need the Cheetos to be together so I can find them and eat them and enjoy them because they are delicious. If you have jalapeno Cheetos, it is a beautiful, perfect storm of chemical, cheese, and jalapenos at once. And crunch. People say that they don't know shit about economics, so it's like, tell me about how it's going to help. It's so true. Eva says, we really need to realize that it's good to do what you can, but don't be mad if it's still triggering for some people. It's not about you and how you feel right now. Yes, that's a good point. Cheetos unite, 420 artists. Am I right? 420 artists? I'm sure you had a bag of Cheetos in your day, too. There's some Cheeto bigotry going on here. We need to get these Cheetos. The Cheeto in chief. Yeah. I can't call them the Cheeto in chief. I just like Cheetos too much. K-Ferg. Cheetos are delicious, man. I don't know what you're talking about. You gotta get some Cheetos in your life. Flamin' Hots. Still haven't talked about this guy's law-breaking sexual predator history. He is on tape saying, yeah, it's amazing to me how much doesn't matter because Trump is a complete malignant narcissist. Guys, guess what? Malignant narcissist. And this will be what we kind of wrap up on today. And maybe tomorrow on Aristotle Full Throttle, we'll talk about characters who are... I don't know. Characters that we hate. Because there's characters that we love to hate, and then there's characters that we just hate. That's a tough one. There are certain characters that we're just like, ugh, I just hate that guy. They're so good at it. Paul Gleason was good at that. Paul Gleason is an actor. He played Binks in Trading Places. He was the jerky cop police guy who greets the FBI agents Johnson & Johnson in Die Hard. And he's also the vice principal in The Breakfast Club. He's just like, ugh, I just don't like that guy. Turns out that actor was like an amazing, kind human being. Except, and that's what I think is true. I think a lot of times when you have a character that is just so hateable, it's because they understand what makes them hateable. They understand, they feel the things that those types of characters have done to them in their life, and they're good at portraying it. And I think a person who actually behaves that way isn't clued in to why they're such a dick. You know what I'm saying? The curse of always having to work twice as hard in life to get half as far and suffer twice the penalty if we fail. Will, that is the gold star statement for today. Will always get an A for the day. K-Ferg, you're going to get a B+ because you said you don't like Cheetos. I'm going to take some point. That's a demerit. 420 gets 420 points today. But that's so true, man. It is what you're both saying. It's like that feeling of, how do we accept... You know, it's like people finally trying to extend an olive branch, and if you question it, you just go, really? Now? They're going to go, fine, I'm going to take my olive branch somewhere else and make olive oil in a pizza. You know, so you got to be gracious. We got to be gracious until the next time this happens. I know I keep saying that, but it happened again a few days later in Louisville. Unarmed black man shot and killed. Another woman was shot in her home a couple months ago. In her home. Through a window, I think. I don't even know which case it is. They all run together. But this just, you know. We all know a cop's job is hard, okay? I'm almost, hey, Justin, what's up? I'm just going off on the situation right now. It's a little bit of out of character moment for the show, but we need to talk about what's going on. And I think it's important. And we all know a cop's job is hard, and we all know it's difficult, But we all saw the video. We all saw that these cops were not struggling with this man, with George Floyd. They were not in any kind of fear. There was no elevated situation in which they were confused. They were killing a guy. I mean, there's plenty of different types of... It's hard. I mean, we can talk about all kinds of movies that depict these really powerful moments in history, because this is one of them. This is one of those moments. And I don't know why it feels cyclical instead of resolute. It doesn't feel necessarily like this is the end. This is, oh, we've done it now. We've solved literally forever years of racism. So I want people to know that I appreciate the listening. I appreciate the solidarity, and I appreciate it. It's a good thing. I think it's a good show of force against a show of force, the police. I think it's a bad idea that these cops are just in riot gear, sort of meeting mostly peaceful crowds with a show of force. And apparently that's the protocol, but I think it's heartening when we see them marching together, when we see people making a truce with the police, because that's what it's about. It's about coming together with ideas. It's about coming together with a plan to listening to each other. Rioters be damned. But again, it feels like on some level understandable that some of these people, some of them are opportunistic, some of them just want to grip back a piece of the establishment and have it in their hands and say that I've taken, whether they know it or not, it's the feeling that perhaps they're getting, some of these people. A lot of them are just inciters. A lot of them are just sociopathic. A lot of them are drug addicts wanting to rob CVS and trying to take the perfect opportunity by a diversion of a peaceful crowd to just jump behind it and smash up a Walgreens or a CVS. And this is going to happen. But why are we going to blame the Black Lives Movement on that? Why are we going to say that, well, see, Black Lives Matter just incites violence? It's like, no, that's not the message. And the problem with the violence is, I mentioned, our governor said yesterday, and I agree with him, look, it's a systemic problem. We have to go back 10 steps to see how we got here. You don't blame the people doing the things now that we don't agree with. You don't blame them. You blame the system that led us here, that guided us here. The problems, the endemic problems that we have in this country and in this world, quite frankly. That's we have to take a look at that. And I think a good solution, a good answer, a good first step in these last 2 minutes on Instagram. Guys, you can jump over to AristotleFullThrottle.com and we'll wrap up there. But in the meantime, Justin is in this room. Justin has a show called Film School on YouTube, and it's really cool. I know we all talk about film every day. We usually talk about film here on Aristotle Full Throttle, but check out his show. It's cool. I was actually lucky enough and fortunate enough to be a guest on his show last week. It was really fun, and we talked about a really cool topic actually, which was telling a story from a different point of view, and maybe as a ham-handed segue or tie-in, we need to tell society's story from multiple points of view. It's been told from one point of view this whole time, and we need to break it up. We need a more representative government. We need wiser leadership. Absolutely, Justin. And yeah, of course, Justin, I'm going to have you, Justin's going to be on Aristotle Full Throttle and or Fan Story. I'm going to have you do double duty one day, which I look forward to. Thank you for having me again as a guest. So check that out. But we do need more representative leadership. We need a government that looks like the populace. If we do that, I think things will change because people will feel better. They will feel more identifiable with their representatives. Their representatives will actually know what's going on in the community a little bit better and perhaps impact and affect change. So stay safe, everybody. Be cool. Be good. And, wash your hands too. Don't forget about that. Wash your damn hands, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. I'm going to share this now because I realized that if I wait to share it on Instagram, the option goes away. So, guys, bear with me for just a second as I talk about this. We can talk about it, guys. You guys have been awesome, allowing me to vent and just try to get my ideas out there or my thoughts that are current right now. Let's talk. Hang on. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Chat amongst yourselves. This is a little behind the scenes of the show right now. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Vote. Go in the street, shout, but be safe. Wear a mask. I've got so much anxiety about the spike that's going to happen in 2 weeks of COVID cases. Now are the hospitals going to be overwhelmed? Black and brown people are disproportionately affected by the coronavirus as well. Not because they're black and brown, but because of the general socioeconomic situation that black and brown people are in this country. And Will, you said it, man. You said it. Working twice as hard to get just as far, but being punished twice as much for any setbacks or trip ups. And this is true. And I've seen it. And part of me is just like, listen, that's it. That's just the hand we're dealt. That's the hand I was dealt. I don't care. I'm going to go forth. But it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable running into obstacles because of the way this country is set up and because of the way I look. It sucks. But it's true. You guys know it's true. Everybody knows it's true. Is that anybody who's ever been marginalized, women, people of color, people with disabilities, anybody my brother's got multiple disabilities. He's got multiple. He's legally blind and hearing impaired, and I'm only sharing that with you to let you know that he's had to overcome the fact that he's legally blind and hearing impaired to become a licensed social worker who works full-time as a licensed social worker. And that wasn't easy. Also, guess what? He's also brown. That's not easy. It's not easy in the first place. It's harder if you're brown. It's especially hard if you're brown and handicapped in society or differently abled. He's done it. And he's still going. And that's not easy. And it's admirable. But there are people who I also know who are like, just fail upward. They mess up, they get handed another opportunity. They mess up again, they get handed another opportunity. They just keep messing up and they fail upward. I feel like even getting hired in Hollywood as a crew member, I don't even think I'm thought of as often because I'll end up on a crew. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's 95% not people who look like me. 95%. And I think people just hire who's at the front of their mind, and sometimes people are marginalized in people's minds if they don't look like them. And I gotta say, I have been hired on several sets. The ones that keep hiring me back will be a good mix of people, usually. Just like lots of black, brown, Asian, Latino, every type of person. If it's a mixed crew, which are very rare in LA. It's so incredibly white. It's insane. It's insane how, like, you would just think that we went back to the 50s sometimes on some of these sets. I'm going to share this with you, and then I'm going to go. And it's very appropriate. A couple years ago, I was working on a thing, and it was weird because it was for Black History Month, but it was written and directed and starred. Well, it didn't star, but it was written and directed and produced and shot by a big company. I won't say the name of the company, but the people who were on camera talent were Black. Everyone else was white. And it was this big corporation saying, hey, look, we're doing something for Black History Month. We're going to get these Black online creators, put them on camera for a few minutes, and then pat ourselves on the back. It felt gross. It felt icky. I also work on another TV show sometimes. And one of their major things that they do on this particular TV show is they go into like Black neighborhoods and that are a little bit poorer and marginalized, and because it's network national television, they give them money, the people, and then they're like, yay, we've got money, yeah, like, and you're like, okay, that's $10,000, and this show makes like $1 billion a year, and they gave you $10,000 because they're like, hey, look, we're giving these people $10,000, aren't they? It's a lot of money, right? And the people, the Black people that they're filming, they'll go into these neighborhoods, and I'll be the only person on the crew who is brown. And I'll be looking around at the crew, and there'll be like 30 white folks standing around in a Black neighborhood filming Black people, and just sort of there's this huge disconnect on how freaking ironic it is, because I'm like, this is entertainment. Oh, I see. We're filming entertainment for TV right now, and for entertainment for this top #1 TV, daytime TV talk show. I'm not going to name it, but there is a person who runs the show, and her name is Ellen. But I work on that show, and I'm grateful to work on that show. But I have to tell you guys, and maybe this will go national, the culture there, the culture at the Ellen show is not what you would think. And I think I've seen a lot of the news coming out about this, but I'm not gonna. I walk a really tough line here because right now there's no work as a photographer, so I'm like, well, I could be risking future work by talking about this show, maybe, but who knows about work anymore? I have not watched America Beyond the Color line on PBS, though I do love PBS and I grew up watching PBS. Yeah, Eva. Yeah, I guess if some of y'all want to talk to me about that, maybe it'll come out. I have photographic evidence. I can't show the photographs, obviously, because I've signed a deal. Maybe one day when it all comes out and it doesn't matter anymore, I have like photos that will just blow your mind of images of the juxtaposition of how the crew is and how they're treating these folks who are in these poor Black communities. And it's not bad. They're not treating people poorly. The people I work with are nice people. It's just the juxtaposition of rich, powerful TV show, poor Black neighborhood, using poor Black folks as entertainment. And it's just that juxtaposition that is painful. It's painful. And the unawareness of how it is perceived, the optics of the situation. I'm literally a camera guy shooting all of the stuff that's going on. I have to shoot stills. And the unawareness, the lack of awareness of how bad it looks, it's unsettling. And it's funny because I have a friend. His name is Rufino. He's an actor. He's a good actor. He also works as a medic on set, and he's Latino. And I remember I was working with him on one of those one day, and we just kind of like looked at each other like, we're the only brown people here, and this is kind of messed up. But marginalization, need the work, need the money. Grin and bear it. Let's just read. Will says, dedicate entire episode of docuseries to Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood. I got to tell you, as someone who's been working in Hollywood for a decade now, specifically, and also worked in the film industry for 20 years, what's Hollywood good at? Making shows, making commercials. So when there's a message that they want people to eat up, they can make a show and they can make a commercial. Do the people change? Maybe incrementally. But Hollywood is really not any different. It's still exploitative. By nature. What are people going to want to watch? We'll do anything to give the people what they want. And we do. We eat it up. We watch it and we say, okay, well, that was good, but at least they have a message of solidarity and unity, but it's still exploitative. And I don't know if there's a way around that in this particular industry, but any change toward the better is good change. Filmmaking heads to the same issue in the education law enforcement. I have a friend who is a PA out there, and they're really pretty vocal about how horrible things are on that show as far as the power tripping and insensitivity. That's funny, Will. It's a weird culture, man. I've worked on many shows of that on that particular show, which I will not mention, but I guess you guys figured it out on account of me giving it away. But the point is, the culture there is bizarre and toxic, and it's kind of like it's like going inside of a bubble. You go there and you're like, oh, I'm inside this bubble right now, and all these people have been inside this bubble and only see what is like sort of regurgitated and then eaten back up again, like that episode of Eric Andre's show when he had the girl from the Hill, Lauren Conrad, on from the Hills, and he throws up on the table and then he starts drinking it. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Watch that episode of the Eric Andre show because he's absolutely out of his mind. Bass player, went to Berkeley. Will, I have a related connection to that show because they featured my community on that show just before the good deed the show did was completely undone by our administration. Oh, no, yeah. I have a good story, too, actually. Oh, wow. Yesterday, I took down Cyndi Lauper. I can't take down two icons in 2 days. We're just going to have to leave it at that. I'm going to try to stay wise on this, but it's gonna come out. It's going to come out, a lot of that stuff. And when it does, then I'll just pile on to that bandwagon. But God, just know that I'm risking potential employment if I shit talk it. So I will not right now. I'll just go in there, I'll infiltrate it, and I'll tell you more about it later. What's your Cheeto story, K-Ferg? Oh yeah, you're gonna tell us the Cheeto story. Let's save that Cheeto story for another time. But I do want to hear your Cheeto story because, hey, ain't nothing wrong with no Cheetos. I'm gonna go get a bag of Cheetos later. I won't. I haven't had Cheetos in 2 months. That's too long for me to go without a Cheeto. It's usually like a Cheeto, like one of them little bags of Cheetos a week. I gotta have my Cheeto fix. They're so good. Salty, crunchy, cheesy, jalapeno-y. K-Ferg. That's yesterday's show. Took down Lauper. It's up. It's up there. I'm not wearing a shirt today. I'm not wearing a jacket today. I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm not wearing a shirt today, guys. The beach is that way. I'm not wearing the show jacket today because I think it's a different day. Oh yeah, I'll get a Discord. You're salty and crunchy. Your face is crunchy. All right, guys. I appreciate you. And this is a moment that we're all going to recognize. We're all going to remember. How can we forget? And hopefully remember where we were. And it's going to take some work to just work through this psychologically. It's going to take some work to talk about this and get the ideas out there and get the real feelings out there and get these like, hey, I've been telling you about this. I told you about that. You know, pay attention. And people are like, I'm listening. I'm taking the time to listen. And it's like, okay, good. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. All right. Thank you for speaking out, thinking out loud. And again, it's I guess it's more for people to feel comfortable with themselves and also to voice that practically, like literally say that so that people can hear it that are maybe not listening, that maybe aren't taking the time, and maybe their friends will listen to them that perhaps do need to listen more. And it's a good thing overall. However, it still feels a little privilegey. Hey guys, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you right now. Hang on, I got a call. Hang on, there's a call coming in. Okay, I'm listening. What were you saying? Oh yeah, you matter. Hang on, one second. Let me just. What's that? Sorry, there was another protest going on, and I had to hit that one. I'm right back. I'm back here with you guys. What was it, you guys? Listen. I know it sounds cynical. It sounds mean, and I know it might be hurting some people's feelings. Just know that this is me expressing how this could feel to somebody in my position. Know that it's also appreciated. Two of these ideas can exist at once. It's appreciated, but it also feels a little pedantic. It also feels a little condescending, patronizing, because it's like, it is what it is. Both ideas can exist. Thank you, Tatiana, for joining us. Thank you, K-Ferg. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Eva. Eva and Eva and Eva and Eva and Eva. Thank you, Aji Lestrange. Thank you, Ismael Kuila. Popcorn Passport. Thank you, guys. You guys are all awesome. You rock. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle, you bro in the know with the fro. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.